together. Some this way, some this way. You may have to crisscross them. So what I will tell you about what was going on for me and the synchronicity of spirit is everything Jamie wrote in that song about the turmoil was exactly what was happening inside of me when I'm literally watching a thunderstorm, and that came to me in my own human angst, and the only thing that came with it is call Jamie and tell her. And so I did, and then this happened. Yeah, this is the stuff that really helps me get clear that there really is only one. So if you, depending on which edition you have, the final conclusion doesn't have a page number, but it comes after page 422. And it comes right before he starts the teachings of Jesus. The final conclusion. In conclusion, what the world needs is spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of this science prove its principles than to have them repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. It is far easier to teach truth than to practice it. But the practice of truth is personal to each, and in the long run, no one can live our life for us. To each is given what we need, and the gifts of heaven come alike to all. How we use these gifts is all that matters. That's it. Really, that's pretty definitive. It's all that matters. To hold one's thoughts steadfastly to the constructive, to that which endures, and to the truth may not be easy in a rapidly changing world, but to the one who makes the attempt, much is guaranteed. Just an attempt. You just gotta try. The essence of spiritual mind healing and of all true religious philosophy is an inner realization of the presence of perfection within and around about. It is the hope of heaven, the voice of God proclaiming, I am that which thou art that which I am. So this morning, we're going to play. We're going to experiment with language. We've been looking at this idea, this experience of fragmentation. And our whole year, the umbrella is living wholeness. And fragmentation is David Bohm's approach, understanding of what Holmes talks about as our sense of separation. The thing I appreciate about Bohm's approach is that he brings it into our human world much more in today's language, which is really interesting since he was here around the same time Holmes was, right? He got a different download than Holmes did. So he literally talks about language, our human language. And in his book, he's referencing the English language, and I want to acknowledge that there's a lot more language other than English. Right? That this talk is American-centric simply by virtue that it focuses on the English language. So we get to acknowledge that. But what he really brings up is everything in the universe is in motion. Right? Scientifically, we know that. Everything is in motion. Yet our language structure and our language focus fixes things in static condition. The most used part of speech is the noun. How much movement do you perceive in a noun? None. There are 12 different kinds of nouns. I don't know how I missed that in all of the education I have, but apparently I did. Right. 12 different kinds, 12 different ideas of how to fix ourselves in a static, separate, fragmented mentality over and over again every time we open our mouths. All while we're trying to live in the flow of one, in the flow of wholeness. No wonder we're perplexed. Right? Don Miguel Ruiz says it this way: if we fail to understand that every word we speak is an operation of agreement, we inadvertently reinforce the very things we're trying to change. And somehow, I can still find myself in a place of surprise when I remember that. Because we're so saturated. I'm not going to talk a whole lot at this point of Boehm's stuff, but I want to bring this example up. He uses the example, it is raining. And then so where is the it? That would, according to the sentence, be the rainer that is doing the raining. Right? We just gloss right over that. And we see rain as something that is fixed, when in fact it's quite fluid. Otherwise, it would really hurt. I mean, imagine getting stuck in the rain and you got solid things of water bouncing off your head. And so he proposes that there's an opportunity to begin to reframe. And what if we called it rain is going on? See, that's infinitely more accurate and infinitely awkward to get out of your mouth. I've read it, I've practiced it, and it's still like, yeah. Rain is going on. The noun has movement. Right? He does the same thing with the observer and the observed. Because we tend, even in new thought, right? We like to do the observer and the observed. But we use it oftentimes to split ourselves off from having anything to do with what we're observing. I'm just the observer. Are you? How does that work? That's complete fragmentation. For me to say, I've taken one step back from whatever it is I'm observing. And he proposes observation is going on. Now I'm in the mix. All right. So I want to bring it back into the room. Every Sunday morning right now, we do the candle lighting. And we honor Christianity. And yet one of the things that is pretty pervasive in New Thought communities is do not talk about Christ. Do not use the word Savior. We honor Christianity, but don't you dare talk about it. There are sinners that will not read from the Bible, which is interesting to me because in this book, Ernest Holmes says repeatedly that we are a Christian philosophy. This much of the book, all of this, is about Jesus. I'm just saying. I ain't judging, I'm just saying. Perhaps we have some language in the way of experiencing the wholeness that is available in the synthesis that Ernest Holmes offered us. Synthesis is the coming together, the bringing together of two or more ideas, two or more philosophies that create a new one without compromising any of the ones. Like if you have two that synthesize to create a third, all of them have equal value. Nothing is compromised. So perhaps we can begin to actually experience the wisdom of some of these traditions that we honor by actually talking about them. Perhaps Christianity is going on. Perhaps. So, if my phone will cooperate, what came to me this week was to do this through a song that is so incredibly powerful to me as a human being. It's called How Great Thou Art. And anyone who was raised around religion has experienced this song. What you may not know is that the song was actually, it started as a poem in 1885, and it started as a poem about a thunderstorm. About a thunderstorm. And we can get lost in the words of, "O Lord my God." Well, okay. What does Lord mean? Lord is an individual that has power. I don't know about your God, but my God has some power. So I'm okay with, "O Lord my God." When I, in awesome wonder, consider all the worlds thy hands have made. Look at your hands. Look around you at what you've made. Look at what you've made. Look at what you've made. Look at each other, what you've made. Because if we really believe in oneness, how can you not be in awe of what has been created? I'm just saying, y'all. He goes on about through the glades and the birds and the mountains. All of that, none of us have any issue with, right? Because we see God in nature. Here's where we start getting plexed up. And when I think of God, his Son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in. So I invite you to understand that Jesus was real. He was a human being who knew his divinity and never wavered. And because of that, the human being, Jesus, was crucified. That's not specific to Christianity. That's specific to our brother named Jesus. Christianity wasn't flogged. Jesus was flogged. And as part of the whole, that's part of God. When we understand the power of choice, it was Jesus' choice. God created Jesus. Jesus created out of God, however you want to frame it. But this statement becomes true. Just factually true. He bled and died to take away my sin. He did bleed. He did die. And if we understand sin to be a simple mistake, and we understand our own teaching that Jesus is not the great exception, he's the great example, the example of his life gives me a way out of my mistakes to stop making them. Right? It's all in how we are deciding to interpret the words. Now I get, as a transgender man raised in fundamentalism, I get how brutal people in Christianity can be. Notice, I'm not blaming a theology. I'm assigning responsibility to people who misuse it. You ever been in a situation in Science of Mind that somebody misused it? It's okay to acknowledge that. I have been the one who misused it. Didn't mean to, doesn't mean I didn't. We gain understanding as we learn. And the last verse talks about when Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Now, today when I read that, home is my divinity. It's not a place in the clouds called heaven. Heaven is a state of mind. Heaven is that place where my divinity aligns with my humanity. Where for a brief moment, the paradox is synthesized. And I experience the unity, that third thing. Right? And I don't know about you, but in those moments when that happens, I'm like, oh, wow! Is that not a shout of acclamation? I'm just saying. We can take it out of what we have been taught that it is and make it what it is. Right? Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. In those moments, that is the feeling, that is the sense I have. And I'm going to begin to wrap up. I did a talk at Asilomar in 2020, and I shared about my roots being raised Pentecostal holiness. And somebody came up to me afterwards and said, how did you get rid of that? And I did that. I laughed. And I looked at them and I said, why would I do that? Because here's what the Pentecostal faith gave me that Science of Mind didn't give me. It gave me a personal relationship with the infinite. It gives me that place where I feel the divine in me. It taught me how to identify that, how to be present with that, how to allow that to be an experience. And so I'm going to ask Jamie to come. And we're going to offer you the opportunity to have a new experience of this song. Because when we take the words and we change the vibration of the words by adding music, it offers us a new experience. And now you've even had a different idea of the words. You get to receive this however you receive it. And no one will know but you.
Consider all sent him to die. I scarce can take it in that on the cross my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Let yourself feel this.
When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow with humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior